it's me, Lauren from Speak From the Heart. Thank you so much for tuning in to my newest video. I know it's been a minute, but I promise I will be uploading more consistently, especially because I've been getting a lot of requests as far as video topics, so I am going to deliver. So we won't waste any more time. Just make sure you like this video. Like this video if you're a student, like this video if you've recently graduated, and also like this video if it helps you and you can relate to it. Subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And let's jump right in. So, as you can see by the title, this video is all about graduate school. So, 5 things I wish I knew before I started graduate school, which is an excellent question, an excellent topic because, you know, like many people, we go into graduate school, we don't know what to expect. We know we're going to be treating clients, but there's just like, what are our expectations? And usually the reality doesn't meet our expectations. It's usually way off. We're going to jump into 5 things today that I wish I knew before graduate school. Just a little tidbit, I graduated in 2016 with my master's. I started graduate school in 2014, so it was 2 years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. Man, but it was a really great experience all in all. So let's start with number 1. The first thing that I wish I knew about graduate school before I started was the time commitment. So obviously I had the expectation that I would be putting more time into studying, you know, that type of thing. But I literally was expecting, okay, graduate school's not gonna take too much of my time. I'm only taking 2 or 3 classes, and then I only have 1 client, so like how bad could it be? When I was in undergrad, I was taking maybe 6 classes a semester. But wow, it was a lot. So I would say I was usually on campus from sometimes 8 a.m. to 7:30 at night. I mean, that was my whole day spent on campus, prepping for therapy sessions, writing therapy plans, meeting with my supervisors, going to class. It was a huge time commitment. And I think sometimes we think because there's, you know, you're not taking as many courses that you won't be spending that much time on campus, or you'll have a ton of free time. And unfortunately, that's not true. I mean, I ended up quitting my job because it was just way too much. It was, you know, I'm spending all my time at the clinic during the week, and then the weekends was when I was working, but I didn't have any time to just like dedicate to myself, and that was horrible. It was just horrible. So please make sure that you really prepare for the time commitment. Ask, you know, graduate students who are already in the program how they feel about the time, because you want to make sure that you're also managing your time well and also still taking care of yourself, because it's easy to just get wrapped up in all the tasks. So time commitment, definitely number 1. Number 2, so something else that I wish I knew before graduate school was how difficult it would be to take my book knowledge and apply it clinically. I've talked about this in previous videos. Listen, the struggle was real for me to apply what I knew to a client, like to an actual human being. Like it was difficult. And I felt like, you know, not to brag, but things came pretty easily to me in undergrad. But when it came to putting it to use with the client, I'm like, I don't know what speech is. How do I move my mouth for an L? Like, I mean, it was it was real. So I would say that was something very difficult for me, and you know, it was a process. I grew as a clinician and had to definitely take the feedback from my supervisors. But when I first started out, I felt very awkward and very uncomfortable, and even started to doubt myself a little bit. But it's just very different going from taking a test on something to being able to provide effective functional therapy to a human. So yeah, that was difficult, and I would say trust the journey. Take feedback from your supervisors and just keep growing as a clinician. It's a process. Most people, I mean, some people might have natural clinical skills, but I mean, for me, I had to grow, and that's okay. So number 3, so imposter syndrome. So that's one thing I wish I would have known, is how much that would affect me. And I'm being, you know, completely candid right now. Being one of 3 black students in my cohort and being the only black student in my, so like we had clinic 1, clinic 2, clinic 3. I was the only black student in clinic 1. I mean, it was hard, and sometimes I would look around and I'm like, am I even supposed to be here? Do I deserve to be here? Is this for me? And I'm glad that I pushed past those feelings, but imposter syndrome is real and it gets to you and it will mess with your mind and make you feel like you're not supposed to be where you deserve to be and where you've worked hard to be. And I had to do self-talk. I had to look in the mirror and say, Lauren, look, you got here because you deserve to be here, you worked hard for it, and you're gonna be a great speech pathologist. Like, you're going to kill it. But it was more so than undergrad that I felt very discouraged at times and just feeling like I didn't belong, but deep down knowing that I did. And that's something that I think, you have to work through. Even if you're not a student of color, if you're not black, it's still something you have to work through, and always reminding yourself that you deserve to be exactly where you are in that moment. So number 4, and this kind of ties in with the clinical skills, but I wish I would have known that writing an essay for my English courses is not the same as writing a progress report or an evaluation report, okay? I was an excellent writer in undergrad. Like, my English courses, I was always getting A's and my grammar was really great. But when I got to graduate school and I wrote my first report, my supervisor just really told me the way it was. Like, there was no sugarcoating. It was just like, what are you doing? I just was so confident in myself, so when I saw that, it shot me down. I'm like, wow, I thought my writing was good. But I was writing really great essays in undergrad. I mean, I wrote my personal statement, it was great, and you're telling me that my clinical writing is poor? I have lots of improvement to make? What? But that's something that I had to, again, trust the process, because the way I write clinically is not the way I write as far as like an essay or a personal statement or that type of thing. So it's something, again, that you have to work on and practice. And, writing goals is not the same as writing a paper. So I would definitely just make sure that you're taking feedback from your supervisors and making sure that your goals and your clinical writing are reflective of the patient's abilities and also can be read by a parent or a doctor or your supervisor. But that's something I wish I would have known, because I was on my high horse like, wow, this report is great, and then I was shot down to the ground. So yeah. All right, and number 5. So the last thing that I wish I knew about graduate school before I started was studying. So in undergrad, I'll be honest, not that I didn't study much, but I didn't really have to take hours and hours to study. I would look at something, read it a couple of times, boom, like it's there. It's in my mind. I know how to regurgitate it back on the paper. Obviously, I'm learning it, but it was just much easier. Things came much easier to me. In graduate school, the game was different, you guys. So, I was taking, and I mentioned this in my study tips video, but I was taking time to rewrite my notes because I had to apply it to patients, get ready for my clinical placements and practicums. I had to rewrite my notes. I had to reteach my notes. Like, it wasn't just looking at it and absorbing it. I had to really look at it, rewrite it, tell it to someone, make sure I'm really comprehending it and not just being able to like regurgitate it back on a test or an exam, which is, sometimes, what happens in undergrad, just being real, because we don't have patients. We're not clinically treating anybody, so it's a little bit different. But I spent a lot of time. I remember my first big exam, I believe, was my aphasia exam. And, if you've taken aphasia, that was a difficult class. And when I say difficult, I mean just all the information. There are several different types of aphasia. There are the different treatment techniques for the areas that are affected by aphasia. And I really had to take a lot of time to study. So that's something that I wish I would have known a little bit more about. A lot of things just had to change as far as the way I did things in undergrad and how I did them in graduate school. But studying, I had to devote a lot more time to really being able to comprehend the information and apply it clinically and do better and be a better clinician for the clients I had at that time. I hope that was helpful. Of course, there are more things that I wish I knew before I started graduate school, but this is just a little snippet. I didn't want to make this too long. But as always, I am always here for you guys. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about graduate school, about speech in general, about life, whatever. I am always here for you, as I always say. Again, thank you so much. Subscribe to this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.